In the quiet hours after the world has turned its lights off, the shadows of our minds stretch long and deep. Imagine standing in the center of a room that feels both familiar and alien, the air thick with the scent of old paper and something sharper, an electric sting that lingers in the back of your throat. It is in this place that betrayal first whispers, a low, almost imperceptible murmur that creeps into the corners of your thoughts. Have you ever felt that sudden chill, that inexplicable sense of being watched by a hidden eye, as though the very walls were listening to the fracture in your heart? That moment, when the trust you built with another shatters like glass, does not merely break a relationship, it rewires the circuitry of your own brain. We all have stories that feel like they belong in a gothic novel. The secret lover, the trusted friend who turns traitor, the business partner whose betrayal leaves a scar that never quite fades. Yet behind the surface of each narrative lies a darker, more complex mechanism. The brain, a labyrinth of neurons and synapses, does not simply record pain, it transforms it. It rewrites pathways, rewires emotional landscapes, and creates a new terrain that is both a map of trauma and a blueprint for future behavior. In this script, we will journey into that hidden terrain, guided by whispers from the shadows of Jungian archetypes and the silent currents of the occult. Think of the mind as a vast, ancient library. When betrayal occurs, a new volume is added, one that is written in a language only the unconscious can read. It is not a textbook you can skim. It is a manuscript that demands a slow, deliberate reading, a ritual of understanding. The pages are stained with blood and ink, each word a reminder that the story you thought you knew is only a fragment. How does this new chapter affect the way you perceive the world? How does it alter the rhythm of your heart, the cadence of your breath, the very rhythm of your thoughts? These are questions that have haunted philosophers and mystics alike, questions that we will explore together, not with definitive answers, but with an invitation to feel, to question, to awaken. The darkness of betrayal is not simply an emotional wound. It is an event that reverberates through the hidden chambers of the brain. Imagine a storm that rages inside you, a tempest that reshapes the very architecture of your thoughts. In the quiet moments after the storm, the world feels different, as if the ground beneath your feet has shifted. The familiar pathways that once guided your decisions are now altered, and new routes form, sometimes leading to places you never intended to go. This subtle, unseen transformation is the core of our exploration. It is the invisible hand that nudges us toward patterns we cannot yet recognize, toward behaviors that seem almost predestined. You might wonder whether the brain's changes are purely scientific, or whether they are also touched by the unseen forces that ancient cultures believed guided fate. In this narrative, we will not dismiss either perspective. Instead, we will walk side by side with both the rational mind and the mystic intuition, letting them converse in the silence between the notes of our heartbeat. The shadow that Jung described, the part of ourselves we hide from the world, becomes a silent companion in this journey, a guide through the labyrinth of betrayal's aftermath. As the night deepens, the line between what we understand and what remains hidden blurs. The brain's response to betrayal is a secretive dance between neurochemistry and the metaphysical currents that flow through our lives. We will not claim to have all the answers, for the truth lies in the spaces between the questions. Yet, by opening ourselves to this darkness, we can begin to see how betrayal does not merely break a bond, it rewrites the very language of our mind. So, if you have ever felt that icy pulse of betrayal, if you have watched your world tilt and wondered why certain patterns recur, then let us step into this dimly lit corridor together. We will trace the footprints left by the unseen hand, hear the echo of ancient archetypes, and feel the pulse of hidden energies. The journey ahead is not a simple exposition. It is an invitation to become an observer of your own psyche, to witness the transformation that betrayal ignites within the depths of your brain. And as we walk this path, let the darkness be our guide, revealing the forbidden truth that lies beneath the surface of every broken promise. The moment betrayal sears into your consciousness is not a single flash. It is a cascade of chemical fireworks that ignite a hidden code within the brain. Picture a library that, after a fire, begins to rebuild itself with new, uncharted books, each page a different narrative of survival. In this hidden revelation, we will uncover the secret language that the brain writes when trust is shattered, a language that blends the ancient rhythms of the soul with the precise choreography of neurobiology. First, consider the amygdala, the primal alarm system that springs into action when danger lurks. Betrayal triggers a surge of adrenaline and cortisol, flooding the amygdala and creating a loop of heightened vigilance. This loop does more than keep you alert. It sculpts the neural pathways that will later dictate how you perceive threat in everyday life. Imagine walking through a dim hallway and hearing footsteps behind you. Even if nothing is there, the brain circuitry will still fire, because it has learned that footsteps might signal danger. Thus, the betrayal imprint becomes a subtle soundtrack that plays whenever you encounter any hint of potential betrayal. Someone's casual glance, a friend's offhand comment, even a text message that feels too vague. The brain has learned to anticipate the unanticipated, and this anticipation is a silent, unseen force guiding your reactions. The hippocampus, the memory keeper, also plays a pivotal role. While the amygdala amplifies emotions, the hippocampus records the context. When betrayal occurs, it doesn't just log the event, it tags it with emotional weight, creating a memory that is both vivid and malleable. Over time, the hippocampus can rewire itself, strengthening connections that link betrayal to feelings of shame, anger, or helplessness. This rewiring is not static, it is fluid, allowing for the possibility of change if new experiences intervene. Think of a river that has carved a new channel through the earth. Once the water has found a new path, the old channel may erode, but the memory of that diversion remains etched in the bedrock. Now, let's introduce the Jungian trickster archetype into this neurochemical tableau. The trickster thrives on disruption, on turning order into chaos, and betrayal often embodies that disruption. When the trickster enters the scene, the brain's pattern recognition systems are challenged. Familiar schemas collapse, and the mind must negotiate a new order. In the occult tradition, the trickster is also a catalyst for transformation, forcing the individual to confront the shadow self. In the brain, this confrontation manifests as a heightened state of introspection. Your prefrontal cortex, the executive center that governs judgment, must work harder to reconcile the new, chaotic input with the old, stable framework. This struggle can feel exhausting, yet it also opens a doorway to growth, because the brain is compelled to develop new pathways that can integrate the betrayal experience without overwhelming the entire system. Furthermore, the concept of epigenetics, how experiences can alter gene expression, provides a bridge between the psychological and the mystical. Imagine your DNA as a script written in ink that can be smudged or rewritten by life's events. Betrayal, by releasing cortisol and other stress hormones, can activate enzymes that turn on or off specific genes associated with emotional regulation. In the occult worldview, this is akin to the idea that thoughts and emotions can shape reality, a principle echoed in the law of attraction. The brain's epigenetic response to betrayal may, therefore, not only affect you personally but could ripple outward, influencing how you interact with the universe at large. Consequently, the hidden revelation is that betrayal is not merely a social wound. It is a multifaceted event that redefines the very architecture of the mind. It reconfigures the amygdala's vigilance loops, reshapes hippocampal memory traces, engages the trickster's disruptive energy, and even writes new genetic instructions through epigenetic mechanisms. All these layers intertwine, forming a tapestry that is both terrifying and transformative. Now, imagine walking through a forest after a storm has passed. The trees stand taller, their roots deeper, their branches more intertwined. The storm has altered the landscape, but the forest remains resilient, adapting to new light and wind patterns. Your brain, too, can adapt. By understanding the hidden mechanics of betrayal, you can begin to consciously navigate the altered pathways, turning the shadow into a source of strength rather than a prison. In the next section, we'll explore how these insights can be applied to rebuild relationships, to heal, and to reclaim agency in a world that feels forever changed by betrayal. The mind's response to betrayal unfurls like a midnight tapestry, threads of adrenaline, memory, and archetypal shadow weaving together in a pattern that is at once chaotic and profoundly ordered. As you've traced the trembling pulse of the amygdala, the echoing chambers of the hippocampus, and the mischievous ripple of the trickster archetype, you've begun to feel the architecture of a new reality forming beneath the surface of your thoughts. The brain, ever a sculptor, is quietly reshaping its own clay, molding the contours of how you perceive safety, trust, and risk. In this quiet reshaping, the hidden currents of epigenetic change run like silent rivers beneath the soil of your neural landscape. They carry the weight of experience, not as a static imprint but as a living script that can be rewritten. Imagine a garden where the soil itself remembers the last storm and adapts the seedling's growth accordingly. The same way, your genetic code is subtly altered by the emotional tides of betrayal, preparing you for future encounters without you consciously knowing the mechanics of the transformation. The interplay between the conscious and the unconscious becomes a dance that you can feel in the quiet moments between breaths. You may notice that your prefrontal cortex, once a calm conductor, now plays a more complex score, balancing the urgent demands of the amygdala with the need to interpret context. This balancing act is not a failure but a recalibration, a new choreography that allows you to navigate a world where the familiar lines of trust have been redrawn. The subtle shift in your internal compass is the silent testament to the brain's resilience and its capacity for reinvention. As we navigate these unseen corridors, the symbolism of the occult threads through the narrative like a lantern in the dark. Destiny and synchronicity, once thought to be merely philosophical musings, now appear as the very mechanisms by which the brain aligns its own patterns with the larger tapestry of existence. The notion that every betrayal is a cosmic signal, a message encoded in the language of neurotransmitters, gives the experience a sense of purpose beyond the personal. It invites you to see the rupture not as an isolated wound, but as a doorway to a broader dialogue between self and cosmos. Reflecting on this journey so far, you might feel as if you have stepped into a liminal space where the past's echo meets the future's potential. The threads that have been woven, chemical, psychological, archetypal, and mystical, converge into a single intricate filament that runs through your very being. This filament is neither static nor fragile. It is a living, breathing conduit that carries the lessons of betrayal into the next chapter of your existence. It is a reminder that every scar carries a story, and every story, in turn, informs the next. Drawing these strands together, we sense a path that is illuminated not by certainty but by the promise of transformation. The final act of this narrative is not a conclusion in the traditional sense, but an invitation to step forward into the unfolding mystery. The anticipation that builds is not a call to retreat, but an invitation to engage more deeply with the hidden currents that shape our lives. As you stand on the threshold of what comes next, allow the subtle resonance of these insights to guide you toward a place where understanding becomes a compass and the unknown becomes an ally. When the final curtain falls on the narrative of betrayal, it does not leave us with a simple, tidy ending. Instead, it leaves us with a lingering echo, a quiet, resonant pulse that reminds us that every rupture is also a doorway. The brain's rewiring, the shifting of chemical currents, the subtle tug of archetypal forces all converge into a single, transformative truth. The moment we feel betrayed, we are offered a chance to rewrite the story of ourselves. We are no longer merely passive recipients of hurt. We become the authors of a new chapter, one that blends the science of neurons with the poetry of the soul. This truth is not a fleeting revelation. It is a living invitation. The betrayal we once saw as a rupture becomes a catalyst for integration. The shadow that once lurked in the corners of our psyche is now illuminated, no longer a threat but a companion in our quest for wholeness. The very pathways that once signaled danger now hold the potential for heightened awareness, for a sharper sense of boundaries, for a deeper trust in our own judgment. In this way, the brain's adaptive plasticity is not a curse but a gift, an uncharted map that, if navigated with intention, can lead us to places of unexpected resilience. The synthesis of neurobiology and mysticism offers us a bridge between the tangible and the transcendent. The chemical cascade that follows betrayal is not merely a biological response. It is the brain's way of engaging with the unseen currents that guide our destiny. When we recognize that our emotional landscape is both a product of biology and a reflection of archetypal energy, we gain a new lens through which to view our experiences. We learn that the patterns we see, our fears, our compulsions, our moments of clarity, are not random accidents but threads woven into a larger tapestry. By acknowledging this tapestry, we honor the complexity of our being and open ourselves to the possibility that each betrayal carries a hidden lesson, a seed that, if tended, can blossom into wisdom. The power of this synthesis lies in its capacity to transform suffering into agency. Knowing that betrayal rewires our neural circuitry allows us to approach the aftermath not with resignation but with curiosity. We can ask, how might I use this new wiring to protect myself without becoming a fortress? How can I honor my shadow while still moving forward? The answers are not found in the external world but within the quiet space between heartbeats, where intention meets awareness. In that space, we find the courage to set boundaries, to communicate openly, and to let go of patterns that no longer serve us. As we close this exploration, we are left with a subtle but profound implication. The true practice of healing begins not with external rituals but with internal alignment. It begins with the deliberate choice to listen to the whispers of our own brain, to honor the shadow's call, and to weave the lessons of betrayal into the fabric of our daily lives. It begins with the understanding that every time we feel the sting of a broken trust, we are also given a chance to recalibrate, to realign our purpose, and to step into a more authentic version of ourselves. The final invitation, then, is not to retreat into the safety of what was, but to step forward into the mystery that lies ahead. To embrace the hidden currents that shape our thoughts and to let them guide us toward a place where the past and the future merge into a single, purposeful path. The true practice begins now, each breath a reminder that we are both the architect and the inhabitant of our own evolving story. And as you walk this path, remember that the most powerful transformation occurs when you allow the darkness to illuminate the light within you.